Welcome to our video on stucco transformation. The first step towards doing a good job is pressure cleaning. And that's me on the ladder there. And unlike cleaning companies, I do this from the ladder and not from the ground level using a long extension wand. The reason for that is the turbo nozzle, it knocks the dirt right out of the stucco and it gets flushed away from the top down. So this accounts for cleaner pores in the stucco and gives the paint the best chance for adhesion. This is also very important for new stucco, as new stucco is more porous than previously painted stucco, so it helps get that silt and fine dust out. It also helps me as a painter learn my ladder strategy and access techniques by completely going around the house and giving it a good bath. By the time I'm finished the pressure washing, I know exactly where my ladder positions are going to be and if I need any special equipment. After the house has had a good bath, we let it dry out completely. Sometimes it takes 2 to 4 days, depends on the weather, of course. And then we start with the painting process, which is going to be one coat, sprayed and back-rolled, and a second coat, sprayed and back-rolled. On previously unpainted stucco, the first coat of paint is going to soak in a lot, and it may leave some blotchy spots on the surface. And that's part of the reason for the back rolling. Some painters will just spray one coat and then spray a second coat over the top. But it's actually the pressure from the back rolling, the mechanical pressure from pressing that paint into the stucco, that causes the paint to soak in and disperse evenly. So you have an even mill thickness over the entire house. And after the first coat's dry, the second coat will float more on the surface because you've now forced the paint into the pores with your roller, so it's all bridged nicely. There's no air gaps underneath. When you spray using an airless sprayer, the paint goes straight, and stucco, unfortunately, is crooked. There's little bumps that point in all different directions on the surface. So in order to get that paint in there, in between those bumps, you need to press it in with a roller. It's much cheaper and faster to just spray it, as I'm doing right now. And some painters do it that way. But to get a really good job, you want to force lots of paint into the stucco. The most expensive ingredient, at least one of the more expensive ingredients in paint, in good quality paint, is mildewcide and algicide. In wet climates, like coastal climates, this is really important to use a good quality paint because that'll help kill that mildew as it tends to want to grow, especially on the north side of your house. And in drier climates, like where I am working right now, is almost a desert-like climate. It's not as important for that mildewcide, but there is a difference in a dry climate, and it's usually fade resistance is the problem that we have here. And so that's another reason to use a really good quality paint so that those pigments there are protected from the UV rays. You may notice that I'm painting this fairly large house all by myself. And there's good to that, and there's some bad sides to that as well. For one thing, for safety reasons, You don't want to do this by yourself unless you really have a lot of experience. You don't get a second chance to position your ladder properly, and you also have to follow certain protocols when you're working alone. And so I recommend, if you do have an assistant, an extra set of eyes, it's certainly a worthwhile way to go. In my case, I've been doing this for so many years, and I don't have a problem. I don't get overwhelmed by the size of the structure. I break it down into one small job at a time. And you can see here, I'm spraying and back-rolling a width of about 3 feet, and working my way down the ladder. That way I don't get overtired. You'll notice that I'm not working in the sun, and I can keep a wet edge, and that's one of the things I like about the Emerald from Sherwin-Williams. It has a slower dry time than some of the other quality paints that I've used, and I like that fact, especially here in Kelowna, because it lets me work a little bit bigger area without worrying about it getting dry on me. But that's more or less how you calibrate. How, obviously it's your reach that's important when you're working like this, but also you don't want to put too much paint on and have to rush. You want to be able to take your time, especially if you're climbing that ladder over and over and over again. My estimated amount of paint for this house was 32 gallons initially. In the end, it took 36 gallons to paint the whole structure twice. And I came out exactly on budget. Must have made up a little bit of time in the labor. Usually, I don't climb up and down the ladder with my roller like you see here. You'll see in a later picture that I have a bucket. I have a rectangular square wash pail that I hook onto the top of my ladder, and I leave my roller on the ladder so I don't have to carry it up and down. I just take my spray, my spray gun and my bucket up at the same time generally. All of my gear, including my spray gun, clips onto my ladder. I have hooks on the bucket, and on the spray gun I have a bungee and a hook system.
How are you?
Hi, Peter. Just looking at what the quails are doing to my plants.
Oh no, it's not the quails, it's the deer.
Oh, you'll get deer up here. Oh dear.
I work a lot in Upper Mission. They have a real problem.
Oh, I know. I've read all about it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I better.
Yeah.
Yeah. My paint's drying, so I better get busy.